And as you go across this beautiful crystal bridge with the purple and the green, and that beautiful purple dome, and all those colors of the chakras coming through the crystal drawbridge, and you enter into the city. Tell me what it is that they wish to show you in the city of light today.
I'm seeing lots of prisms, and then they're showing me the top of Mount Everest.
Mm.
And only the peak, they're showing me the peak of Mount Everest, which has lots of snow on it, and the rest of it doesn't. And I keep seeing all these prisms, all these beautiful triangles. And when I look down, it's as if I'm in a cave with all these with all these beautiful crystals that are singing. And they all have their own vibration, their own notes, their musical notes. And they're showing me these prisms once again, yet so I'll try and describe it how they're showing it. But when I look down, I see quartz crystal, and you see the prisms glimmering, glistening off, and you see all these different colors that are coming off the crystals, and these crystals are massive. And they're taking me to Mount Everest again, and they're saying that's one massive portal. Hence, people want to get to the summit because they feel the intensity, not only because of the mountain energy, but they feel the intensity of this calling, the soul's calling. And many souls have left themselves there. Yet they take me back to the crystals. And again, when you look down, and these prisms, so I hope I'm describing correctly, but they're golden, and they're maneuvering like this, and they're beautiful, beautiful. I just see, but not solid gold, like you can see through them. And these musical notations, the music from the crystals is maneuvering these prisms of light. So they're saying, think of taking the pyramids, and the pyramids are levitating, and they're elevated, and they're being maneuvered in their vibration. And that's what these crystals are doing across the world at the moment. And these different frequencies that are being encoded in all of us is bringing this massive transformation for humanity. So that there's a dance that's happening between ourselves and the beings out there. So the prisms are the beings, we are the crystals. They say, does this make sense?
Yeah. And so all these tones that are being played on the music, what's that all about?
They're showing me 962, 963, 964, 965, and these different scalar waves. And as we are all elevating our awareness, our consciousness, we started many, many years ago talking about the age of Aquarius. Yet nobody knew truthfully what it represented. And this age of Aquarius has been about coming together, yet things need to break before there is change, and that's what's happening. these systems are breaking down. So these new scalar waves, these new frequencies that are coming in, that have been held in these crystals, that have been held in these prisms for eons, centuries and centuries. And they're saying, you see how I'm scratching my head right now?
Mhm.
People are in disbelief. People are in disbelief as to what is changing with inside of themselves and with inside of life in general. Nothing is true. Nothing is truthful. Yet we are learning what truth is. So hence so many of us are questioning. Hence they showing once again, we're questioning, what is it that we want? What is it that we want? What is it that this doesn't make sense? Nothing makes sense. And these are these new scalar waves, these are the new frequencies that are starting to bring this rapid transformation. They've been held since Atlantean times.
Mhm.
The Andromedan energy is becoming stronger. The Lemurians are becoming stronger. This seraphim energy. We spoke about seraphims last night.
Yes.
And the seraphims, they show me are think of it like earthworms. Earthworms have tiny, 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 you can't see them, tiny little teeth. And you can't see them unless you put them under a microscope. But yet they know exactly what to do in the earth. And it's interesting because even now, this is where everything is shifting and changing. I can literally smell your perfume through the computer. I can smell you right now. The one perfume that you wear. I almost stopped myself to go, ooh, is Jill actually on the other side? Because I felt like you were right here, like you did with Angelica.
Mhm.
So this is part of the change that we all are sensing. And it's not a time to be in fear or scared. These crystals are holding. The earthworms have been holding and doing their work for centuries. They know exactly where to go in the darkness. We don't have to tell them. And they may come out into the light, and then they've got to find or navigate their way back into the darkness again. They're saying, listen to these important words, because we can all resonate with earthworms. And we know that earthworms tune in, they turn over. We take our excess and we give it into the worm farms, and they create for us to gift back to our land, to gift back to our earth. And they're saying, but listen to how they represent so much. They are in the dark and they navigate their way in the dark in the soil, and they come into the light. And they may not enjoy the light, and some of them might get fried by the sun and they leave a corpse. And others manage to find their way back into the dark. And they're saying this is very symbolic of what we are experiencing on earth right now. There is no dark without the light. There is no light without the dark. This will always be within this prism. So, Jill, if you look at, I'm trying to describe it how they're showing me, but they've got the two. If you take, I'll use the pyramids as a reference. If you take the pyramid that's got a point and you take another pyramid and you put it on top of the other pyramid, there's a base. It's flat, isn't it? But there's 2 points.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So they're saying that There's a flat base and a flat base, but they both come to a point. This is what's happening for us as humanity. These prisms and the crystals are creating multidimensional shifts, and those that have been birthed for these times are ready. We are not angry. We are not in fear. We have a strong sense of knowing. And they're saying it's very important that people who hear this message today receive it from a place of knowing. These crystals have been holding these energies, these light codes. We know that these light codes are inside of us. We've had shards. Think of it like a massive big mirror that is just cracked. Some pieces are bigger than others, yet we are always able to see the reflection in our light, our knowing.
But sometimes with that cracked mirror, there's a distortion.
Depends which piece you pick up. Even if you pick up a small piece of the mirror, there may be a distortion in how you see yourself. Yet how we see you, there's no distortion, ever. There may be a refraction, there may be a reflection that you don't like about you, that is always showing up, always showing up, always showing up, always showing up. Yet humans have been taught to point at others. And you see it's outside of themselves. Yet when one chooses to take responsibility for the investment in themselves, there is no distortion. You're only able to see you. And when one sees themselves, it is simple. When you break off a piece of crystal, or you receive a crystal that has certain points, we all like the perfect crystals, don't we? Yet those have been shone, those have been made to look good for us. We want to make ourselves look good. This one this morning, while she was putting on her makeup, was really berating herself. She was distorted about who she is, as she kept seeing all the wrinkles, all the fine lines, all the sagging skin. Yet it is not true. It's just how she sees herself in that moment. So again, if we give you a whole base of a crystal, there will be points to the crystal, but there will be broken off points to the crystal too. Notice how we say it, broken off points. Yet the crystal is still in its wholeness. It depends how you perceive to look at it. So the perception of the world is changing.
Tell us more about this reflection and this inner work.
So we're showing Michelle a snake and how a cobra rears its head, and we have shared this with you many, many times before. You have seen this too. You have been shown this. And when a cobra rears its head, it is sensing with its tongue, yet it has a forked tongue. And this goes way, way back into the Egyptian times. And a snake feels vibration, doesn't it?
Mm.
And it senses, yet when it rears its head, which is what humanity has come to, and this time the making, notice how we say this, the making of this whole ripple change, this ripple change was what was so necessary for humanity to wake up and look at the systems that have broken them. You have all allowed these systems to break you in one way or the other. And nobody ever wins from a place of anger. Yet you have been told, and it is true, that the prison systems are broken. And what do the prisons take in, Jill? Broken people. People who are hurting. People who have not been heard. So when one is doing the work, the inner work, one is looking deep within. One is looking at how do I see myself in the wholeness of who I am. It is one thing to profess. It is one thing to teach. But it is a true master who walks the walk, who experiences through life's teachings. Yet many are teaching what they don't even know to be true. Correct?
Yeah, sadly so.
Many profess that they know, yet they teach from this place. Many walk away. Many are giving away their power. This one taught me this one taught me that. We're showing Michelle the up and coming anniversary of the Twin Towers. Interesting how they built them as twins. Yet twins have a knowing. They grow in the womb. They always have a sense of one another, even if they look different. So we are sharing with these very prominent times in humanity. And again, people come together in adversity, don't they?
Well, what was the lesson that we needed to learn about the Twin Towers falling?
This was a lesson for humanity. This brought the world collectively into a consciousness of love. How many jumped out of the towers? How many wanted to make the last call from the aeroplanes? And the only thing that existed in that moment was all of you held your breath. All of you looked. All of you noticed, and all of you sent your energy of love to those humans, didn't you?
Yeah.
And as you held your breath, you created space. And many sacrificed. You may look at it as being the sacrificial lamb. Yet the life lesson is that no one gets to control anyone else. This was a hurting, yet a healing for humanity. And the consciousness, there was an elevated, a flip in human consciousness of what really is important. Many humans walk to work. Many humans go to work on a daily basis with their heads down, not noticing one another. And in the big cities, so many do not even acknowledge each other. They push each other, they bump each other. There is a lack of awareness that existed. And now, even fast forwarding to 2020, people are becoming more consciously aware, observing what it is that they truly desire. You are in it, Michelle is in it. How do we want to live our lives? Not how do we exist anymore. How do we want to live our lives?
Well,
Your
it seems
life.
there's a big difference, sorry to interrupt you, between living and existing.
Correct. And when one is in the truth of living, One is experiencing exactly what they need in that moment of time. May we say that you have started to own your own worth. Michelle has started to own her own worth. And when we talk about owning worth, it is about truly knowing to be in service. When one sees pure light, one only sees light in the other. Nothing else exists in between. You may see colors. Yet this is what this supposed division that has been created many, many, many centuries ago for humans to re-see one another. There has been a stake, there's been a claim, there's been a we own, there has been greed, 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 greed. And this is the vibration of greed. It crushes the spirit of one. And when it crushes the spirit of one, it crushes the spirit of millions.
Isn't this now the time for collaboration rather than competition?
Correct.
So
And
what's a
this,
good way forward?
that is a very big question you are asking.
Yes.
When one is in a space of pure connection, again we reference how many talk about being connected into the light. We will connect you, we will connect you, we will connect you. Well, does that not sound like many presidents, politicians that lie? We will, we will, we will. And yet it is all about I will decide.